She ain't ever switching, only one like that she been getting. She gonna live it till the clock stop ticking, filling up every minute with your cross of mercy. Some of y'all ain't worthy of this journey, but you ain't gotta worry. Gonna get you back up out of here early, out of sight. You got no vision, lower your voice, you just turn up, listen. Out here thinking your competition, but you're about to be non-existent. Listen. They don't see her dry like all partitions. To the wheels fall off, walk round and still a renegade on a mission.
Hello, Chad. How are we doing today? Hello, Slops. Rob's rating now. Hold up, chat. Is he? I feel like these were rated last night. No, actually, Scattered and Lost was just... No, actually, no. These were just felt around. He hasn't rated anything. I don't think so. Hello, everybody. Just hopped on YouTube? That's crazy. How are y'all doing today, Chad? What are my thoughts on Out of Place? There's a whole ass review that I did on last stream about what are my thoughts on Out of Place. If you're interested in seeing it, I would recommend watching the VOD. Hasn't rated anything yet? No, yeah, that's what I saw. I was confused as to what Slops was saying. He does like to rate when I'm streaming, or after I'm streaming, but it's a bit early for him to be rating right now. Is the 100th legendary? That is kind of crazy that we're already at 100. That is absurd. And the crazy part, chat, is that there's like 20 of them that are just for this contest. Absolutely incredible. And the car leading your entire life. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully you have a great time in Michigan. I wish you the best, Madeline. 100th mythic win in like maybe 6 years. We're getting 10 a year. If that increases, then maybe in 6 years. If it doesn't, then in 10 years. So it's great. I've heard a lot of good things about Michigan. I've been there before. It's really nice. At least to where I've been. I've been on vacation though, so not the same. Okay, chat. Let's get this started. Let me mute the music. Doesn't seem like Robtop is doing anything right now, so just vibe. Let's just vibe and play this. We have more Space Gauntlet legendaries and NCS legendaries and mythics combined. That is true. That is true. Space Gauntlet kind of goated for that. Alright, let's turn the music up. This is a Toby Fox song. I love this song. Ooh, let's remove hitboxes. I was playtesting a level yesterday, Chad. Hopefully it comes out soon, but it's a very hype level. God, this song is so good. The fucking Camellia and Toby Fox just cook so good. Oh my god, this part lags. Excuse me. That is so cute. Special thanks to Danger Cat, Zach, Hedgy, Theo Gamer, the whole gang. Nice. And Motto Swag. Bits are brief. Nice. So nice. What the heck? This song is so good. Gameplay is actually really, really fun. If it wasn't for that swing copter, I think I could have just done it in one attempt. But damn, this gameplay is really, really fun. The lag is kind of... Oh my god. As I said. Huh. Feels not like an 8 stars. This feels very easy. I mean, I guess that the lag and like the speed maybe makes the difficulty a little bit. How are you lagging? The level has 37k objects. It's not about the objects, it's about the particles, and I can almost guarantee you that. I can almost guarantee you that the parts that I'm lagging are the parts where you have like capped particles. Or uncapped particles, I should say. Like, I lag a lot. Here, let me show you. People don't understand optimization in this game. They really don't. Where's the particle trigger? Okay, max particles is not too bad here. The more the time goes by, the more I think people don't understand how particle triggers work. Also, you have area triggers here. These area triggers are the thing that lags the game the most. These will really affect lag. Mostly the area scales and the area rotates. If your area is rotating and scaling a lot of things, yeah, look at this. Look at how many area rotates you have. Of course the game lags. These are the things that cause the most lag out of the entire game. Mostly if like you have them in like multiple parts and they keep like accumulating over time. So you gotta be careful with that. Whenever you try to optimize those. Also, I need to check. Max Particles 15 is not too bad. Okay, this is another thing. Max Particles 200. This will also lag the game because this is essentially the same as 200 objects. Like, you guys don't think about it because you just use one particle object. And again, this is the same thing that I said to El Mato Swag level. Each of these particles is 200 objects. That's not like one object. It is 200 objects. Each particle that you have to register is actually more quote-unquote demanding than an object, you know. So like you gotta be careful with that kind of stuff because the more particles that you use, the more like the level starts to lag, and it's really like not too bad because you again it's 34k objects, which is really nice in terms of optimization. But then you have a bunch of particles objects that have like accumulate over time, which probably increase the total to around more like 45k if I'd have to say. Yeah, like 200 from here, another 200 from here, another 200 from here, another 200 from here, and there you go, that's 1,000. Just by having those, that is already like 1,000 objects just out of these 4 particle objects. Like there's 6, it said there. Like it doesn't seem like much, but that is really like what creates a lot of lag. Mostly if you have like multiple copies of this. A low amount of objects do not equal low amounts of lag. But alright, let's play it one more time. I think it's good to know, but it's like, you know, you can, again, the other thing, chat, is that even if you have the emission very low, the max particles will still, like, count. It will still render, technically speaking. And it will still cause a lot of lag in the game. And vice versa, too. Even if you have the emission very, like, big, but the max particles, like, very slow, it'll still create the particles. It just won't render them, so it'll still take some processing power. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So be careful with particles, because I know I've seen a lot of people abusing them, and that has created a lot of lag in levels. In their excuses like, no, but they have 10k objects. Yes, but if your 10k objects are all particles, and all of them are like 200, then that's not 10k anymore. So really be careful when you create, to not spam particles everywhere, because they will still lag the game. Similar like area triggers, of course. Area triggers still lag the game a lot. Even though it might not look like it, area triggers definitely still lag the game. They are very object intensive, or processing intensive, I guess I should say. They take a lot of memory space, and whenever possible, after like you've stopped using them, like whenever you get to a new part, don't forget to use stop triggers or area stops. Those triggers are very useful to reduce the amount of lag, because they will stop those triggers from continue happening. Because even if you're outside of the range of those blocks, it'll keep doing the calculation to check for them. Also, I assume there's quite a few shaders used here and there, and shaders are another thing that really likes the game. Yeah, like those, shaders are another, I mean, everybody knows that shaders like the game, but it's been getting slightly better with, like, everybody understanding that. But goddamn, like, the particles are one thing that I feel like people don't understand, that it just lags the game a lot. Because people are like, oh no, but it's like one object. It's like, no, that's not how it works. I jumped there. Shaders, we actually didn't use that many. That's good though. I can definitely see some shader usage here and there, but again, I think it's been done tastefully, so it's not too bad. Same with gradient triggers too. Gradient triggers also do tend to lag the game a little bit more, because they do need to like calculate and render the gradient, but it's slightly more optimized than people think. Gradient triggers are not that bad. That was so cute. I agree. It's very charming. It has a lot of like it has a very nice atmosphere. In a way, it kind of reminds me of like old Knots, but like if old Knots was mixed with like maybe like Unzor. I don't know. It's very like cutesy, very flashy, but it also has like that kind of like modern vibes that like a lot of Knots levels used to have like a long time ago. I don't mean like recent Knots, but like very old Knots. Like also these ones, those ones probably are lagging the level quite a lot. Well, this is the DHaner, so like it makes sense that it reminds you of their style. Honestly, gameplay is really fun. Yeah, it has a lot of character. I like this level a lot. It's really nice. It's really nice. I like it a lot. Splinter and DHaner, you both did a really, really good job in this one. Bye, Madeline. Have a great rest of your day. I'm glad to see we get to see more creators using Camellia. I'm glad that we got this song in GD. Like, I'm so happy that we're getting like a lot of Camellia songs being used. It's really nice. Hello, Fatherman. Welcome, welcome. How many Camellia songs in SGC so far? I think approximately like 40 to 50. Because like obviously like there's the big like popular like entries, but there's obviously also like a lot of other entries that like might not be as popular. They still use Camellia songs, so. Also, Kisaragi is epic. Oh, well, does Kisaragi get rated? I saw Kami got rated epic, which I was a bit unfortunate, but Kisaragi too. That's a shame. Kami got rated epic. I don't see Kisaragi. Kisagari? I don't remember. Yeah, I don't see it. No, it's not rated yet. Oh, epic rated. Okay. Yeah. I'm waiting for this one to get rated too, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna get legendary. So. You have a NASA computer, so you don't get lag issues. To be fair, I would never get lag issues on my PC. I never get lag issues. But if I'm streaming, I'm usually streaming on both Twitch and YouTube, and I have other things open on the side, which take up a lot of memory and a lot of like if I probably close this and play the level, it should be a lot better. I have BlueStacks open, so like I have like multiple things open on top of streaming, so it's the kind of thing that like it doesn't help the performances. I will lie to you. But if I'm lagging, that usually means that like a lot of lower end devices will have lag, for sure. I really like this level. It's really fun. The more I play it, the more I enjoy it. I will say, I do wish that it wasn't so orb heavy. I feel like a lot of the inputs that you make in this level are just you hitting orbs. Which is, I know that a lot of people really like that kind of gameplay. It's not my favorite kind of gameplay, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, obviously there are other clicks, but it does feel like a lot of the clicks are orbs. And that's not my preferred type of gameplay, but it's okay. Feels really Rainbow Road-ish. Yeah, I can see that. Here, let's let the song play in the background while we go unrated. Oh, the song ends there, right? Okay, so you have Myth. I think that this, at the very, very, very least, goes in pretty decent. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I think the gameplay is really, really solid. I really like the song. Has very cutesy visuals. It feels very surprising to me because, and this is no offense to Splinter and DHaner, this is a very surprising legendary. Why do I say that? Because usually when Raptor comes across this style of like modern design that is very like colorful, very flashy, like this kind of style usually gets an epic from Raptor. For the most part, in most levels that look very similar to this, be it better or worse, it doesn't really matter, you usually get an epic and don't get anything higher. So it is very interesting that the visual style of this is something that Wrapped Up was like, yeah, we can definitely give it legendary, which is definitely really, really cool in my opinion, because I feel like a lot of these levels are very, very underrated and appreciated because they have really good gameplay a lot of the times. A lot of the times design creators have actually pretty good gameplay. And there's been like a push over the past like 2 years or something to make more art levels. And so because of that, I feel like it's rarer that we get design levels that are rated legendary, mostly when they're design levels that look quote unquote generic. Again, I don't think the level looks bad at all. I'm just saying how it is. There's a lot of levels that look like this. There's a lot of levels that have similar styles to this. And like the fact that like a DHaner and Splinter style is super recognizable is already like a really good thing. Like it's a good thing that these levels are getting rated higher and that Rob is valuing them more, because yeah, it doesn't matter if they're like similar to other levels, if they're quote unquote generic. They're good levels. They play really well. They have really good song representation. They have a really like good intensity, good energy. Like it's just nice vibes, you know? It's a good fun level. And that's kind of what we need in GD. Like we don't need levels with fucking atrocious gameplay every single time just because they look amazing. Like if a level has really good gameplay and it's really fun and it looks good, then like, you know, it's a good level, you know? It's so me personally, I actually quite like this level. I think it's a very, very fun level. I think it's a very, very enjoyable level. I think that a lot of the time RobTop does undervalue like the funness of GD. And so for that, I'm putting it here. You know what? No, I'm moving both of these up. Note slasher. I'm moving both of those up. Here. I really like this level. Again, it's one of those levels that it's like, I'm surprised that this got the legendary. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just surprised. I'm very, very surprised because, wow, I was not expecting this. But I'm happy at that because it's a really good level. It's a really fun level, and I really like it. Yeah, I think that's the overall vibe. Oh, let's play one more time. I enjoyed quite a lot the gameplay. And of course, like, the visuals are something that we gotta talk about. Like, it is very, very, like, energy-based. Like, it's all about the pulses, the effects, and, like, there's obviously, like, the art assets that look very cute, you know? They're very, like, they're well-designed. They're not, like, the most impressive, realistic art out there, but, like, they do the job, and they fit perfectly fine with the designs and with the atmosphere of the level. And so, like, I feel like this just does a very good job at being a pretty solid level. God, that trail really like is insane. Like it that probably lacks the level so much for a lot of people. Custom trails do that, but it's so fun. Like this is good. Not that it'll place in the top 10, but maybe top 20. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. It's a really fun level, and I do think the judges take into consideration gameplay. And so because the gameplay is so good, like this would be a perfect level for the Gauntlet because of how good the gameplay is. It's really solid in my opinion. Good job to DHaner and Splinter. They've both done a fantastic job with this level. It's a really cool level. Yeah. Congratulations to both of you for the myth legendary. Yeah, this is really cool. Good job to both of you. Alright, respectfully kind of have to disagree. Do you not remember Magistro? What? Magistro did not have good gameplay. What are we talking about? Magistro did not have good gameplay. We have this one. We'll give it a second. But we're going to review them one at a time, because I don't want to have to review fucking 7 mid-levels on one day when they all get rated. Judges not consider gameplay as a factor? No, they do consider gameplay as a factor. It's just that Magistro was such a good level outside of the gameplay that it carried the gameplay segments. Like, it got a really bad note for gameplay. It just got a super high note on everything else. Like, that's the thing. The judges consider it's a scoring system. It's a scoring system. It's points. If you get a 10 in visuals, but you get a 5 in gameplay, that's a 15 out of 20. That's still an insanely good score, you know? Like, you know, it's one of those levels that it's like it got carried by literally every other aspect except from the gameplay. And and to be fair, the gameplay's not that bad. It's the camera controls. That's the part that you gotta realize. The camera controls are awful. The gameplay's actually not horrible. Like, once you learn it, it's pretty straightforward. Is this song? I don't remember which song it is. Like, once you actually know the gameplay of Magistro, it's really not that bad. It's actually learning it and like the camera controls throwing you off and giving you little reaction time that makes it like a miserable pain to play. But like, it's basically like a memory level, which again, if you like memory levels, you'll probably enjoy Magistro. It's not bad in terms of like actually having the gameplay that it has. It just has a horrible integration of it. That's it. So it's still a very, very decent level. I just don't like it because the camera controls make me not love it. Okay, let's go on to the review. Sorry, I had to clear my songs. Because I was running low on space on my computer. So, and I had like, I don't know, like 10 gigabytes of song downloaded. I just made the backup of them. Also, Magistro lagged so much, it probably is another factor as to why it didn't play this high. But okay. Let's talk SpaceTime Continuum. Actually, here, I will start recording. I'll make this into a video. Because, might as well. I mean, we might as well make this into a video. I won't edit the whole thing. It'll probably just be like a more of a stream clip at this point. But anyway, let's talk about SpaceTime Continuum by DHaner. Now, this level came out, I believe, a couple of minutes before the deadline of the contest, so not much time left to polish and stuff like that. And it still hasn't been rated. A lot of people's predictions are between Legendary or Mythic, so it's very interesting. So yeah, let's jump right into it, shall we? Let's do a small... Hold on, let me get... Oh, I don't have water. No water. So sad. Let's do a small review of this level. We'll go through the editor. We'll talk about it, gameplay-wise, decoration-wise, everything. We'll pause. We'll do the yapping as per usual. Now, what to talk about this level? Well, this level's super interesting. This is one of those levels that you would not expect. I don't think a single person, aside from maybe the people who playtested, were expecting this to be a thing that exists. DHaner hasn't really released a level in 7 years, and so seeing something from him again is definitely insanely, like, unexpected. I don't think anybody was expecting that, which is really cool in a way, but also, you know, not necessarily something people were counting on. But yeah, so say about this level. This level has way too many things going on. Where I could talk about, and I'm struggling to see where to start. I should probably go in order, I guess, of the parts. Play it through one time, so you guys can all see the level. Stream's lagging a little bit. Oh yeah, it's probably because I'm recording right now. Let me stop the recording. That sucks. I'll just have to edit it off the VOD. Ah, it sucks. There you go. No, it should be a lot better now. That sucks. Oh. I guess no video. I'll probably still do it, but I'll probably have to edit it from the stream VOD, which will be less good quality. Okay, then Let me finish playing through this. Okay, let's get talking about this level. What a good level. Let's just start things off by that. What a masterclass in GD. Like, this is one of those examples that it's like, please tell me that you see it too. The part with the ship turning into the swing was the stolen background from Zero SR level. It's a black hole, probably inspired by Kyrgyzstan, but it's not the same exact thing. Let's go into the level. Let's go into the level and look around. So first off, this first part is actually super cool. It's very weird because you enter this level and you don't really expect to, like, last thing that everybody has seen from Destiny is just glow design with maybe some modern art with Metropolis. But for years, Destiny has been one of the best design creators in this game, and definitely somebody who like everybody looks up to because of their design abilities and their skills in how they've mastered very complex and a very specific style of design. It's very unique style of design. You know, it's kind of like Goose in a way, where they both have their own unique styles. When you look at them, you're like, oh my god, that is Goose, that is Destiny. Like those two are like some of the people back in the day who really inspired a lot of creators in their design abilities. And so seeing something so completely different from Destiny was a bit shocking, you know. It was very odd. It just kind of like it just happened. So you get into this and you get into this part and you're like, wait, whoa, that is weird. This is so different from everything that I was expecting. And then it throws you away with this part. This is the part where I genuinely was talking about it the first time that I saw this, and I was like, wait a second. No, like, this makes sense. This is the perfect evolution to what I expected design, like art design, to be at some point. I want to talk more in detail about this part in a second. I'll just review, like, quickly the whole project as a whole, and then go individually for each of the parts. But you can see that over time, there's a lot of mastery of a lot of 2.2 interesting mechanics. Some of them being some of the texturing tools and the new brushes that came out with the particle tab that allow you to create different textures and different shades and different color mixtures that you could create before, but it usually was a lot more object intensive and was a lot harder to do, and not everybody was willing to make the effort to do that. And you can definitely see it here with the texturing used for these block designs, as well as a lot of the effects being used with particle triggers and gradient triggers. Like when you get into this part is entirely made out of gradient triggers. Like these blocks are gradient triggers, and they're super interesting because that means that Destiny had to like understand these things and master these things in the amount of time that they were working on this, which to a lot of people seemed like they disappeared 7 years ago, and now they came back and they just know all of this thing. Obviously, like, Destiny has been working in the background, making different levels, trying different stuff out, but it's really interesting to see these kinds of stuff because this is not just a good execution of gradients and particles. This is a mastery of them. This is somebody who knows how to use them and has learned how to use them. This is not somebody's first use of particles. This is somebody who has repeatedly been using them and has been trying different things. And you get into this part, and this is the part that really impressed me in the like on my very first watch, like as I was going, because this just felt raw. You know how before people would make like flying ships that you could have multiple bats on? There's a couple of levels that have these flying ships where you could just go free fly. But I feel like people haven't really been experimenting too much with this idea in 2.2. I feel like ever since people know that this is possible, they've kind of seen it as a novelty and they've decided to not really do anything with it. So it's one of those really odd scenarios where, yeah, this is super simple to do, but like it hasn't really been done super well. And this is actually done really well. I think that the execution of this is super fun. I think it plays really well. I think it's pretty well put together. And the fact that at the end of it, you go back through it again and you get to choose your path is super fun. I think it's super interesting. It's a super cool gimmick. It's really nice. Next, we get to the black hole. The black hole segment is, to say the very least, impressive. Like, this is insane camera work. There is a lot of insane work put behind this part, and this is another part that I really want to talk about, so I'm really gonna gloss over it really quick. But it's a really cool part in the progression of the level. We go from this very nice, like very ruined kind of archaic city, very like reminiscent of like, I don't know, like Shadows of Evil, like the map from Black Ops 4 or Black Ops 3, Black Ops, I don't remember, one of those two, Black Ops 3 I think. Like very reminiscent of like the US and like the 1900s, and it's like it's very very nice. And then you go to this like very like more modern aspect of the city, which is still very reminiscent to what we had before, but it's a lot more like industrial in a way, a lot more grand. It feels very like very epic. It makes it feel very very epic. Then let's find the ending. Where's the ending? Oh, here's the ending. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, we'll put a preview log here to work on this. And then you get to this ending. And to be fair, this ending is just impressive. It is genuinely so fucking impressive that this is just in the level. Like, it is actually just a really, really cool showcase of Desticy's vision and Desticy's ideas being actually formulated into the level. Like, this is somebody who really, really, really thought that this was a fucking cool concept, and they just executed it the best way that they could. And you can see it in the editor. It's the whole thing is just here, and it is actually like the whole thing is done. Like, these parts over here that you're never like gonna see are still part of, like, you know, the block designs. They're here, they exist, and that is absolutely insane. It's just incredible that this is just a thing that exists, and that is like this is just a thing. But anyway, let's go back to the start, and let's go in more detail. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the executions of this level, and let's play it actually as we talk about it. This idea was for the designs to turn out the time in a way which ancient text structures in the beginning, and it gradually turned more futuristic. So, okay, you already said it, but I was gonna say that there is definitely a very clear progression in this level, in the architecture of the environment and how it progresses over time. As so at the beginning, it shows initializing, you know, something is loading, and it shows this like very techy, very futuristic, with 3D holograms. It's kind of like building a simulation in a way. You could see it like that. Obviously, Desticy can probably speak a little bit more about this, but it's definitely a very, very interesting section of the level, because it like kind of gives you this like very odd sentiment that like what you're experiencing isn't really real, and it's really, really nice. It has a very, very clear vision, very interesting 3D, beautiful colors and usage of the shader triggers. The shaders are super well used in this case, very subtle, but in the same way very like aggressive. Like they're not like super in your face, but like you can very much see where they're being used and how they're being used, and it's really, really cool. The usage of the 3D scan lines to like attach the structures and create depth, and the beginning here, like this, like actually making the lines, like that is really good. That is very good usage of masking. Super, super neat. The other thing is you can see, like at the beginning of the level, when you start the level off, you can see in the background the things starting, like you can see the planets or the things starting to form. Like it's actually like constructing it, you know? Which is such a fucking neat little detail that you can see them in the background as you come up. So when you come up, they are just changing colors, and now they're fully rendered. And it's like, oh, it's so good. It's a very nice start of the level. It definitely feels a little bit out of place, but it's still a very good way to like set things up for the level. And when you do set things up for a level and you open up with this big splash of color, that is incredible. Like you're opening up, changing completely the mood, and this is so funny because, oh my god, this is so funny because that is literally, hold up chat, I'm not leaking anything. Just gotta make sure that I don't leak anything. Give me a second, chat. Give me a second. Okay, remind me, chat, to not go down. Don't scroll down. Anyway. It's very much the vibe that I really wanted to give with Voyager. And if we go and play it, like it's a, oh wait, I don't have the song again. If you go and play it, it's crazy how similarly, and again, this level was started like months ago too. Y'all have seen it, and me as SCC have never talked about these two levels, but they are incredibly similar in terms of the direction that we wanted to go with the direct approach of these levels, which is, it's super odd, but I love the fact that we both came up with very similar ideas and concepts, with a big change in the design, the really big impact of the change of colors, the contrast, you know, the complete change from a very like cybernetic creation that feels very out of place but still belongs in the overall progression of the level, to this very like stylistic, artistic, very colorful, very bright change in tone. Again, crazy. That, yeah, crazy that these two things are not related at all, but somehow still oddly similar. Maybe, let me make sure that I'm not. Okay, good. But anyway, let's go back into this. I did not copy you, I swear. It's okay, I trust you. But yeah, this transition is super good because of that. Because it completely changes, and well, maybe I'm just biased because obviously I think it's good because I made it in Voyager, but it's very interesting decision to completely take away from what you had been building up in this first part and expand upon it in a completely different way, by completely flipping the colors on its head, by changing the art style, by making this such a completely different thing that it just feels like it just feels like it's not real, you know? It's a crazy progression, and you don't see these kinds of things done very often. People usually play it very safe. They keeps things very similarly. Leah copied Ecstasy, to be fair. Hey. I made it first. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's really cool progression. It's really nice progression. And okay, so let's talk about this part now. God, when I first saw this part, I was like, this is exactly what I want Return to Dust to be. I've been talking about this for like with Dio for like months at this point, and I've been talking about how the idea for Return to Dust. If you've ever seen the game Hob, Chad, let me see if I can open it up. Okay, if we look at the concept art of Hob, you can see a lot of the things that have inspired like Return to Dust, and a lot of the art style. Let's see, let's open this up, open image in any tab. You can see that the art style is super sketchy, and it's like very like like you can see the lines, you can see the shapes, you can see the structures. It's not about the colors, it's not about the texturing. It's all about the line work and the lighting. And this is such an interesting thing, because this is the main inspiration for a Return to Dust. We have a lot of inspiration and a lot of concept arts that y'all have seen already, that I've shown around for a Return to Dust, which we'll get to eventually. And Hob is one of the biggest inspirations for us. Like, a lot of the designs, and all of this is accessible in Nick Satam as like our station. But like, these are such an incredible, this is such an incredible art style that I feel like has been done so little in GD, that I'm so happy to see that Sissy actually do something kind of similar to that. Still very unique and very stylistically well done. Of course, it's not exactly the same at all as Return to Dust or anything. But again, very curious to me that a lot of these ideas that I've been having over months, that I've been working on over the past couple months, have actually been reflected in this level, and I think it's kind of cute. Completely unrelated. Also, the other thing that I brought up, and I brought this up on stream chat, so if you were here, you remember, but this is tech design. This is 2.0 tech design. And now, when I said this originally, I think a lot of people looked at me like I was weird, like I was crazy, like I didn't know what I was talking about. But this is 2.0 tech design. This is borderline 2.1 tech design. You're weird and crazy. Thank you very much. If you know what I'm talking about, you'll if you were there for it, you'll know what I'm talking about. You will notice it. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain it. Haven't I said that before? Yes, I have. If you look at the actual block design, if you look at the texturing of the block design, and if you look at the way that it's done, a lot of the textures used, a lot of the patterns used, a lot of the designs, a lot of the details are exactly what the creators back in late 2.0, early 2.1 had done before. These lines connecting like that, using the 3D lines to create these shapes, using little dots to connect. And of course, this is just inspired in general from looking at like motherboards and, you know, like art online. Like tech design obviously comes from a very clear source of inspiration, which is just technology and circuitry and like all of that stuff in general. But this is what people had in mind whenever a tech designer like in 2.0 or early 2.1 wanted to make some designs that were like more artistic. They used these same shapes, they used the same patterns, they used the same ways of creating and stylizing the details in order to make their designs. But they never did it this way. This way is like, this is what like a lot of tech design creators dreamed to make in like at some point. And it's so nice and it's so fun to like look at this and be like, wait, like I can see this, because Destasy is a creator who was around for that, a creator who probably for the time was in its own way leading a lot of the design inspiration for a lot of pop like creators of the time. And so seeing it come back full circle, like be it intentional or unintentional, it feels very classic, it feels very traditional, it feels very fitting, and I like that, and I like that a lot. I think it's a very nice thing. Copy pasting words. I mean, hey, I'm consistent. The way the tech designs are implemented within the statue monument blocks is so satisfying. I agree too. It's very really well done. Like it feels very artistic. It feels very nice. It feels like it makes sense. You know how before people were like, oh yeah, people like tech design is just like spamming objects like to make detail. This is actually like well done tech design. This is really really well done tech design, and it's rare to see these kinds of things done in the art sphere. So it's really really cool. So yeah, I also want to talk about the colors. Oh my god, are these colors beautiful! The mixture of very bright yellows and oranges with the very desaturated, darker shades of like purple to complement well together. Ooh, it's so good. I love these colors. And like the subtle change of hue here to like the more warm colors. The very hot pink gradient at the bottom and the more purple vibes at the top. God, it's so good. Like, it's so nice. Bigger blocks up to 2 hours per structure. That is insane, yeah. It's kind of crazy how much detail and how much effort is put into all of these. And then obviously then you look into the actual texturing, and then you like start to realize that like, wait a second, like, oh my god, the texturing has so much effort put into it. Like, I know it doesn't look like it, but the subtle changes in the hues of the colors, like the fact that like this little bit is a little bit brighter, this is more saturated. Like if you look over here, like these ones are different colors or slightly like more cyan, less saturated than the purples. Like all of these mixes of color blend in together so well, and it's executed so well that like, you know, it is very, very, very interesting to see. And it's really, 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 very, very pretty to see visualized in a level. There's also a lot of details here that people probably won't realize, but like the saws are just default saws. Like these are just 3 objects. These are default saws with maybe like an inner black circle in the center. These saws, and then the pulsing, actually not even pulsing, the circle. Like, those are 3 objects. And they don't feel out of place at all. Like, they feel like they belong right in with everything else. And it's like, it's so goddamn interesting. And these are default clouds, by the way, chat. These are like the default clouds by Robtop that are just like warped and shaped around to fit the aesthetic. Do I have ignore damage? Yes, I do. It says it at the top. I do it on purpose so that I can go around and show different things in the level without like caring too much about it. Again, same with these like indicators. Very well done indicators. The orbs, I will say, are a little bit harder to see. Like at this beginning with the very bright yellow, to me, these 3 orbs look the same. And I know that these 2 are green and this is yellow because I've played it. But these level, like right now, I'm looking at 3 yellow orbs. So, same with like this one at the bottom. Like this just looks like yellow orb to me until I get to it. And so it's very, very good. Again, the clouds, very nice. They have a lot of depth. They have very, very nice rendering and very interesting texturing. Again, very, very pretty colors. It's one of those things that it's like, wow, it's surprisingly really well done and very good execution. And again, it comes back to also looking at a lot of the details. Like if you look at these details, you can see that there's saw blades ingrained into the block designs, as well as there's holes that create the 3D depth. And the angle of these structures makes them seem like they're in perspective. You know, all of these small things that add to like the beauty of this level, like the spikes being shaded like that so that it looks like they're in 3D. You know, like all very small things that end up going a long way to making this feel very, very cohesive and very, very good. And of course, I feel like we have to talk about the structuring. Now, I will say, and we need to be very open about this. Destiny has spoken about their inspirations for this level, and they cited a lot of them in the description of SpaceTime Continuum, which I think is really, really nice of them to do. However, I do want to say a couple things about this. And let's look at this one because there's quite a lot of inspirations here. So I think the first 2 that we got to look at, well, the first 3 are these ones. Because very obviously, these are definitely the biggest inspiration. And when looking at a lot of these, it definitely shows that like there's a lot of the inspiration taken here. While still Destiny managed to make their own unique things, there's still the inspiration, and I'm glad that they cited these things. And it's really nice to see that like, hey, that is really cool. However, I am curious because I have a feeling that some of these images might be AI art. Now, is it bad to take AI art as inspiration for your own things? I don't necessarily think so. I think a lot of people see it as a really bad thing to take AI as inspiration. I don't think that it's the worst thing ever, but I still don't recommend it. AI art has a lot of flaws, unfortunately, because a lot of the times it makes things that look okay to an inexperienced artist, but a lot of the time end up not actually being how it works. It's a very weird and interesting concept that I'm not entirely sure how I feel about right now. So I will, yeah, like these as inspiration, as like these as inspiration for the next part, of course. But it's the kind of thing that I'm not entirely sure how to feel about, and I don't know which ones are AI art and which aren't. We've come to the point where sometimes, like, I can spot AI art when it comes to characters. It's a little bit harder to spot AI art when it comes to, like, scenery and landscapes. I want to say, like, really dive deep into it. So, again, I don't know exactly about the morality of this, but I did want to bring it up because at the very least, I think Destiny did a very good job at least being transparent and being honest and putting all of their sources into this. You know, like citing the Paul Chedison concept art, as well as like making the inspiration for SpaceTime Continue ref board. You know, whether or not you think it is too close to the inspiration, and that like that is entirely up to you. I can't really decide for you that end. I can't tell you what's right or wrong. That is up to you. We're all, you know, our own people and we have to make up our own decisions. But to me personally, this does feel derivative enough, at least in some aspects, less in others, and I'll talk about it as they come. But I did want to bring it up now because this is going to be a thing that I'll bring up during multiple aspects of this review. But I definitely think that for this beginning part, it really, really shows that Destasy had a very interesting, like, Destasy was attached to the visuals that they took for inspiration and really, really wanted to make their own version of that. And I think they very, very much succeeded. I feel like we've yapped enough about this part, but so let's move on into the next part. And by the next part, I mean the same part, just the second half. So I talked about it earlier a little bit, but we have the gradient triggers. And not only do we have the gradient triggers, but you can see it here at the bottom, chat. We have an area tint. Now, this is super interesting because this isn't something that's done very often. Because artwork like this, where you use line work to make the art piece, is rare. We don't have many levels out there that use line work to create like a different art piece. But you can very much see, and mostly towards the end here, how it goes from red to yellow, over to orange, to yellow, to green, and it pans over as you go. The usage of, I assume, multiple area triggers stacked on top of each other with different priority levels, to create this very smooth, very colorful gradient is super, super smart, and it's not something I've seen done very often. I've usually seen people use 1 or 2 gradient triggers stacked on top of each other. Could be hue usage as well. Could be that the hue usage is done differently. I think you have less control with the hue usage, but I'm not entirely sure. It is 1 hue? Okay. Since there's the HSV option, okay. Can you do the HSV option to make it, oh, depending on the distance, is that? Oh, yeah, you definitely can, actually, now that I think about it. Okay, I see. But it's really cool. Again, it's super cool. You can definitely, I think in this case, you have less flexibility with the hue, because it just does a smooth gradient between the colors, and it just so happens that the colors just work. But if you want to have more control, you can definitely stack area triggers on top of each other to create like a very much more customized and smoother gradient over that same duration of time. And again, I can show you guys how to do it at the end of stream later if you are interested. But it's a really cool concept that I think I haven't really seen been done too many times, or at least it hasn't showcased in such a nice way. Like, this just feels very nice, and I think it's really good. Same thing with the gradient triggers. Like, these gradients are super well done. They're super smooth. They have a lot of colors. It really shows that there's like a lot of different gradients working together, and then this comes from you know, a lot of like trial and error. I do like the fact that on top of that you have the particle triggers giving like different hints of color, like mixing in different tints together, since it's all blending, you know, since the gradients are an additive and the particles are also an additive. They merge together really well, creating this really nice aesthetic, very glowing, very changing. Like, it's a nice detail to add a lot of color and a lot of variety in your designs, while also not necessarily doing too much, you know. It's very smart usage of a very good technique to make something look more impressive than it actually is. Gradients plus area move is a lot of fun. I agree. I think that hasn't been done very much, but like I think the best way that I can remember somebody doing that is Ludwig with the water in the beginning of what's the name of that level? Forgotten Metropolis. How it creates a very, very nice parallaxing water where you can go up above ground and underground, and it's really, really nice. It's really, really cool. Gradients are super interesting to use as like textures and block design, and I feel like people don't use them like that very much, but I think it should definitely be something really cool. Also, another thing that I want to bring up, because you can't see it in this first half, but in the second half, chat, look at these objects over here. Look at these objects. What are these? Those are just default blocks. Those are default GD blocks. Those are the default GD blocks that are just used seamlessly into these designs. Like, they don't even look like they are part of GD, but they just work. They just fit in perfectly. If you like actually like look at them, it's just the default blocks. Like the default what are those, like X-step blocks? Like, let me go and do the editor again. Yeah, these. Nope. It's these ones. And they're just everywhere in the level, and in this section of the level. They make for a very nice, very contrasting color set that like adds a lot to the depth of this design, and they're just cute. You know, they're just cute to create the perception of 3D, and it's super good. Again, these diamond blocks are probably some of my favorite blocks to use. I love using them. I think they're super cool, mostly because you can create different patterns out of them. But yeah, if you look into these are just normal diamond blocks, and it's like looking at them like this, like actually they look so well in context. Like a lot of people think that they need to like spam objects or like use like specific objects like the particle tab and stuff like that to create interesting textures, but a lot of the time a lot of the default GE textures are still very, very good for their specific things. You know, you can mix in these things together and create very nice and pleasing looking visuals because you're just doing something that's it looks good. It's again, it's all about knowing how to best use your objects. And this is really, again, a really good way of using those objects. But anyway, let's get onto the transition. Get onto the transition and the actual big part that I think a lot of people are looking forward to me talking about, which is ooh, which is the ship and the. Also, for some reason the icon disappears here. No clue why, but it only happens like in practice mode. I think it's very funny. The ship slash robot slash cube slash UFO slash swingcopter. Oh, actually, let's talk about this transition first. So I don't know if y'all noticed it, but these planets, like the stars start, like you start seeing the stars shining a little bit more, and then the more that they shine, these stars turn into like they start rotating, like it's the same stars. Look at the points where the stars are, and you can see them start rotating. And then they create this spiral where you zoom in, and then very slowly, the background for the next part transitions in. Again, super interesting way of transitioning, super smooth way of transitioning. It's not super flashy, it's not like anything, but it's like, it's just there, you know? It's like, and it's one of those stuff that it's like, it's not a flashy transition, but it works super well in context. Like you change the colors, you know, it projects, like it creates a lot of depth. It creates really, really nice things. Yeah, it's really good. Like you can see the spiral coming in as it goes, and then boom, you get to this part now. And so this is the part that I think a lot of people really like. This is probably a lot of people's favorite part in the level, because the atmosphere is very good, the colors are very, very nice. I have a lot of problems with this part, and a lot of things that I like. It goes both ways. The first, and I think the biggest issue that I have with this part is the composition. And you've seen me complain about composition so often that it's kind of like ridiculous at this point how much I complain about composition. Whee! What happens if you just don't do that? Oh, you still go back, okay. Oh, it bugged out. Oh. I can't put a surplus there. I could probably put it like here. But yeah. So let's talk about this part a little bit more. So you have this very beautiful like background of a spiral in the background that then turns into a black hole. Like the spiral galaxy that then turns into a black hole. But the way that the designs are made and the way that the structures are laid around in what's the best way that I can explain this? The way that that they're laid around in this in this specific setting of the level creates for a very odd composition because it stacks things a little bit too much. It creates a lot of disconnecting between each of the layers because all of them just feel very messy and clunky together. Now, usually, if you want to create a very messy atmospheric, then you probably want to go for something that is still very, like, looks messy, but is actually very organized when you actually start thinking about it. And I feel like in this case, I think that that is one of the parts that, like, kind of is a shame because of the way that the structures are put around, it's actually a little bit hard to tell what is what. Like, you're just looking at a bunch of buildings, but you don't know what they are, you don't know exactly how they are, or where they are, or what, like, it doesn't make much sense to you, and you can't make much sense of it, because it kind of feels too random. And again, that creates a little, a bit of an imbalance in composition. And so it's one of those moments where I'm like, I really wish that it was a slightly more cohesive and that a little bit more attention to detail was taken into maybe organizing the shapes to fit together a little bit better, or like arranging them in a way that, like, while you're moving across the screen in different ways, it worked a little bit nicer. But obviously with a multi-path thing, it's definitely hard to work around with it, and it's not very obvious that you're like, hey, you know, this is not an easy thing to do. So my complaint is more so it definitely like I wish this was executed better, but I understand why it probably wasn't, and less so of a hey, that's the bad, you know. However, the other thing that I do wish this part did, and I think that's actually my biggest complaint, and it's sad because I really like this part, it's these saw blades. I really love how these saw blades look, and I really love the way that these saw blades are integrated into the environment. I love the way that these saw blades, like, are rotating, but the lighting of them stays consistent. Like, that is very good usage of area tint triggers. But I'm really sad because I feel like these shapes don't fit together super well. And what do I mean by that? Well, the way that I like to talk or see these things is kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. If you have a piece and then another piece, if you can find a way to make them assemble together, even though they're disconnected, I think that is really, really cool. So if, for example, you have these saw blades that are like cutting out of, like, merging, like bulging out of the buildings, like breaking apart into these buildings, and having a building that accompanies the shape of the saw blade, that complements the way that the saw blade is put. Like in here, for example, this building right here that you're going through, it has these stairs, but if it had like a kind of like a more of a divot inside of it, as if the saw blade had like cut open or cut away from this building, and then these two were together, like I feel like it would have made such a better, a more atmospheric and cohesive structure. I feel like it would have felt like these buildings are actually more interconnected, and they are more a part of the same world. And I think that like here, for example, it kind of does that. Like these parts right here, you can kind of see that these kind of complement the general shaping and structuring of this gear. But then you look at this gear over here, and it's like, oh wait, there's like nothing for this gear. You know, be it that the gears connect with each other and kind of create like this like clock gear mechanism, or that the gears are like inside of these structures, and then these structures are like connected together, and now that they're ripped apart, you can see the gears that are inside of them. Like I definitely think that the direction could have used a little bit of work, but this is still a very, very nice part. And again, for a lot of you, I'm just nitpicking. For a lot of you, I'm just being incredibly nitpicky, and that's super valid. Hello, PJ, how's it going? Welcome to stream. And it's one of those things that, like, I mean, I kind of have to be nitpicky because this is one of those levels that, like, if I wasn't nitpicky, then I have nothing to talk about. And again, it shows here, for example, like this one and then this one and this one, like they don't complement each other at all. They just feel very disconnected, and it makes it feel like the composition is just very odd. It's very random, and instead of it feeling like controlled chaos, it just feels chaotic. And I personally, reference to controlled chaos. Oh my god, I would personally prefer if it was controlled chaos, but you know. With the saws not fitting the blocks, I can't really see. No, I don't mean that they don't fit the art style. I mean the fact that like they don't connect well together. Um, I don't. It's not so much that I think that the saw blades are inside of these blocks are very good. I think that they're very fitting to the style, and they're very interesting. It's more so the fact that like they don't feel like they're connecting as well together. Um, in terms of like the composition overall. I think at the end here, it's very good. For example, again, you have this saw blade protruding from here, and everything around it is like warping in the same direction and in the same shape that you have this gear. That is good. That is a good thing that I want to see more with this part of the level. Um, and I think some aspects of it do it, but then some others just kind of don't as much. And that's where I'm like, that creates a very interesting imbalance that I don't exactly know if I love. But anyway, enough about the composition. Let's talk about the colors and the atmosphere. Wow, these atmospheres is insane. It matches the song perfectly. These very like warm, subtle colors that are not super bright. And then with the very cold, brighter, contrasting background, like against each other, like with the very dark tones of like the structures. Like it's very good. It's super good mix of all of those colors together. Really good atmosphere, very subtle approaches to design. Very well done. I generally wanted clocks to have a sense of time with them going backwards when the part flips. That would have been really cool. Yeah. I like how the sauce feels like part of the building and not just a random addition. I agree. I just wish that the buildings were more interconnected together. That is basically my complaint. And you can see it here, like at the end with like the particles breaking. Let's put a checkpoint. I think we can put a checkpoint at this robot. Or this cube, I should say. We can see it very well with when you get closer to here, you can see these are like breaking. Oh no, you can't put a checkpoint here. Oh no, you can. They just take a while to rebuild. Okay. Those particles are funny. You can see these buildings breaking, and then when you come back, they're rebuilding together. Now, my guess, that is just area triggers that are like on a... I assume it's area triggers, right? You have an area trigger going one way, and then you have the other area trigger going the other way, and you just trigger both of them depending on, not the position of the player, but you have probably like a manual thing keeping track of it. That's how I would do it. It's always area triggers? It is always area triggers, to be fair. And I love the change in color. Sorry, I haven't even talked about that, but oh my god. The change of color from here, going from this like very like subtle like yellowish orange tones with the very like beautiful greens and blues in the background to this like very dooming red, like very bright red, you know. And then everything in the foreground now changes colors to be that subtle blue hint that was in the background before, like it swaps around, but now you have like the red on the pulses. Like it's so nice. With the center object manually moving. I see. So you have a center through all of these objects. Anyway, okay, that's smart. I'll go in the editor and check that out afterwards. But yeah, super neat. I'm being bad at the game. I haven't talked about pixel blocks usage yet because I want to talk about it in the next part because I think it's a little bit more obvious in the next part. Though obviously you can see that there's tons of pixel blocks used here. And surprisingly enough, pixel blocks were used pretty well. Look at that. You can make pretty deco with pixel blocks. Who would have thought? That impact frame is really good too. All right. This is the sixth time I come into Leah stream, and instead of playing whatever the title is, the title, we played it. That's the thing. That's it. The other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that, hey, doing the first impressions doesn't take me 2 hours. It takes me like 20, 30 minutes. The stream is more about everything else that happens after the first impressions. So anyways, let's get into this part. Very nice transition. Oh wow, this part. Holy shit, I have so much to say about this part. What a beautiful lighting this part has. This has some of the best, like, lighting usage in all of GD that I've seen. This has very, very pretty colors because of the lighting. Like, wow, it's so goddamn pretty. It's consistent? Not always. There's a couple moments that it's slightly inconsistent, but I can forgive it. But god, the lighting is good! Holy shit, it's so nice. There's so many things about it that it's like, wow, this is so fucking impressive. I rarely see people do lighting as, like, well done as this. Like, people talk about, like, Kuluk's part in Emerald Realm, that has, like, a billion issues with lighting. I don't even want to talk about that part. That part is not the best for lighting. It has okay rendering, but it doesn't have amazing lighting. But this is just like, oh my god. Like, the lighting is just so good. It's just so good. Like, oh my god. I have very, very, very few times I've seen lighting executed this well. And I think it's really, really impressive to see. Anyway, I think it's very funny too. There's a couple of sequence breaks that you can do in this part because of the way that, like, ignore damage works. I missed it. You can hit that dash orb. But in fact, the entire drop, last 40% were built in 3 weeks. That's crazy. Because I would have... that is an insane amount of time to spend on this part. Or, like, these two last parts. You can sequence break her pretty easily when you're having ignore damage. But yeah, that's crazy. You found it to be one of the worst shading and lighting in terms of coherence. There is no light source. So, when it comes to this, or when it comes to, like, because I was talking about earlier with Kuluk's part in Emerald Realm. If you're talking about this, then no, there is a light source. There is a very consistent light source. It is just an odd type of light. This shouldn't be something that reflects light all the time, which is, again, the moments where I'm like here, for example. Like here, there is very much a source of light, but it's not consistent. This one part, yeah. Okay. For when it comes to the consistency, I agree. With the coherence, though, I think the coherence does make sense. I think that it's very clear where the light source is being. It's just that it's not exactly consistent with how it's supposed to be. But again, it's something that I think it's very, very, very concrete criticism. Okay, now let's talk about the impressive effects of these things ripping apart. Because that is, like, it's the kind of thing that, like, you have to prepare for. Kind of like, remember when we were making them, if you were there for a chat, but remember when we were making the mimics for Return to Dust. Whenever I was making the mimics, I had to, like, plan exactly where the rupture of the fragments of the block would, like, break apart, so that I could separate the different aspects of the block. So when it would be animated and it would split open apart, it would actually, like, you know, take out the pieces necessary. Usually a lot of people would just use, like, one block for, like, the whole thing. You can see here that Destasy has, like, used multiple blocks specifically for these segments to create these, like, very, like, interesting changes in the way that it's, you know, Then tell me where, because I do not know any light source that decides randomly to light up down, left, and right parts of objects. That's why I said it's not consistent, but it's coherent, which is different. The coherence of it is there is a light source coming from above. Is it consistent? No. But it is coherent. Like, it makes sense. The light source is above. But it's not like, you know, you've been talking about the low for 15 minutes now? Yeah, I'm aware. I'm doing a full-on review. So it's one of those things that it's like, damn, it's really, really, really nice to see this being done. So now let's talk about the pixel blocks, because I feel like a lot of people will definitely bring this up. Pixel blocks are one of those things that I think in GD are a overall positive. I think that the addition of pixel blocks is an overall positive. I think that the usage of pixel blocks is an overall negative. I think that for 99.999% of the cases, I think pixel blocks looks horrendous in art levels, unless they are specifically pixel levels. Like, that is the only time that I genuinely think pixel blocks look good in GD, because of two things. The first one being pixel density and resolution, I guess I should say. Maybe I would have preferred if the black hole isn't centered, but instead justified the light source. This is very bright. I would agree there. I think that would have made it a lot better, and I agree with that. But I think pixel blocks 99% of the time suck ass, horrible. They look horrible all of the time. Literally, I cannot think of more than 5 levels that are like not actually just pixel levels. That and by pixel levels I mean like levels that are like specifically done like Slash or something like that, like levels that are very pixelated, that actually look good. They all look like shit because okay. I'm taking Gallo as I'm sorry, Gallo. I'm taking you hostage. Somebody brought it up. When you look at something like this, as an example, and you start looking at the pixel blocks, you're like, okay, like this is not, these don't make too much sense. I mean, you're using pixel blocks with just normal blocks with default GD textures, and when you look at them together, they're like, okay, well, the GD texture blocks look actually really good. Like, these actually look pretty nice. These look very nice. But the pixel blocks don't fit. They have a different resolution, they have a different texturing, they don't tile well together. This doesn't look very appeasing to the eye because it feels very incoherent. I think this is one of the better examples of where they were used, where Gallo, because they mixed a lot of actual default blocks, make it for very, very, very good cohesion overall. But when you start taking away and just start looking at the pixel blocks by themselves, they start to look a little bit odd and they start to be very disjointed. Because the one thing you realize is if you go to the pixel block tab and you select this pixel block, and then you go and you select this pixel block, or you go and select this pixel block, or you go and select this pixel block, or you go and select this pixel block, something that you'll realize is that not all of these have the exact same resolution. Like, these are very close. These are surprisingly very close in terms of resolution. But these ones, you can see that the pixels are smaller than these ones. Same with, like, these ones are smaller than these ones. These ones are very much similar than these ones. These ones are a little bit more similar to these ones. These are way smaller, you know? So it's like, it's one of those things that because of the pixel sizes being different in all of the pixel blocks and all of them being inconsistent in terms of how big the pixels are, like, these ones are huge, you know, compared to like some of the other ones. Like, it creates this very disjointed mix of things together. And again, I'm showing an example of somewhere where it doesn't look that bad because Gallo has usage of other things. But an example of where it does look bad, these trees don't look good, because they just look like pixel blocks being spammed, and that they don't look good in cohesion with everything else around it. If you remove the trees, like, yeah, it looks actually kind of decent, but the moment that you start looking at a tree, that's Cyclos, look, at the moment you start looking at a tree, you see like how messy the warping and mixing of, you know, like you have to, when you use pixel blocks, you have to take that into consideration. You can't just warp them randomly. You have to take into consideration the shapes and the amount of pixels and warp them around fitting in a way that actually makes it look like this is a pixel, like a pixel object, and not just a random object like warped around for the sake, like these for example. Like these don't look good in here because they're warped so big that they're not cohesive with the rest of the blocks around them, and that is the biggest issue that a lot of pixel blocks have had. It's that. Let me real quick transition out of this, that I don't accidentally do anything. A better example of what I'm trying to show is this level. And this is what I mean by actual pixel levels. This is a level that entirely uses the pixel assets in the way that, quote unquote, they're intended to be used. Because of that, we have less of those problems of mixing textures together, and for the most part you get something that's a lot cleaner, that's a lot nicer, something that fits a little bit better together, something that feels more cohesive. But then of course this level does have, like, for example, the mixture of like differently rendered styles to the pixel blocks and stuff like that, and creates a little bit of uncohesion in other ways. There's other reasons why things become incohesive. Another example of a level that I think doesn't do it super well is Shunkroll. And it really, really shows when you actually start looking in the editor. Obviously, this level is supposed to be messy, but then you start looking at some of the parts of the editor that like use pixel blocks, and you start to realize like, ooh, wait, like this is like a little bit too messy for my taste. And obviously this happens with like texturing in general in GD, which has always been my issue with like more like realistic styles, quote unquote, even though they're not very realistic. Like this, for example. Like these pixel blocks together don't look good. But it's just the fact that, hey, like, there's just a transition that you see for like a second, so like it's fine, you can get away with it. It's the kind of moment that like, hey, I feel like pixel blocks can be used, and Destiny has shown that you can use pixel blocks and you can use them pretty well, but you have to be careful with how you use them. You can't just spam them around the editor all willy-nilly. You have to actually use them in a way that makes coherent sense within your world, being keeping things of the same depth, of similar like ideas, but like, you know, like you can't just spam them everywhere and hope that it looks okay, because it's not easy. It's really not easy to do that. If you're looking at screenshots, it looks worse. Yeah, it does look a lot worse. The best pixel levels seem to be pretty simple, in your opinion. I agree. Quarian has good pixel usage, but then again, it's custom pixel texture tiles, so it doesn't count, I guess. Yes, again, if you're making like an actual your own pixel art and stuff like that, it's a little better. It's a little bit better, because you can create your own consistency within yourself. But I think this is a good middle ground, and I think this is like as good as we're gonna get it, which is, hey, we're using pixel blocks and we're using them in a way that is okay, like it makes sense, while also staying kind of consistent. It's still a little bit messy, and you notice it sometimes, like when you like actually start looking at these, like these little rocks look definitely a lot messier. But it's a step in the right direction, and I think that if you want to make pixel blocks look good, then I feel like this is something you need to take into account. And I feel like every single creator who does pixel block design needs to start taking into consideration how those pixel blocks look together. Not by themselves, together, as a whole thing. This needs to be something that people really start taking into account, because it's becoming more and more of an issue over time with, like, you know, a lot of pixel levels just start to look the same because all of them feel like copy-pasted warp pixel blocks without much sense. Does that make sense, Chad? I feel like that makes sense. Also, I want to say I didn't talk about it too much, but the camera work here is very good. The fact that you keep track of the player very, very nicely, and the fact that it like moves around the environment incredibly hectically, but still has very cohesive sense of space. Very good. Very ambitious part, I would assume. I avoided that issue by having only one type of pixel blocks for these buildings. Yep, and it shows, really. Like, this is one type of pixel block, which is these ones. And they're used very, very nicely all throughout, you know. Like, they're scaled very, very nicely all throughout. And they're very, very similar types of pixel blocks. Okay, let's go and talk about the last part of the level. Because, oh my god, that is something. First things off, I think that the gameplay is definitely the weakest part of this. The gameplay of this part is kind of unfortunate because of the way that the gameplay is implemented and the camera, it's a bit hard to read and you do have to memorize it, which kind of sucks because it's at the very end of your level and it creates this like very tense, you know, very tense like vibes that it's like, yeah, not the biggest fan. But I'm glad to see that you know, SSC started to merge pixel design with actual like block designs, and I think that's nice, and it shows that like SSC has a lot of experience with block designs, with showing in here. Here, let's go and let's go and get back to that part and play through that whole ending segment. But it's the slowest is a SpaceTime Continuum by SSC. I said that I was gonna review it last 2 streams, and now I'm reviewing it, so. Really wanted this to be simple, but the camera work makes it difficult. No, and I understand that. I think that the best way to make that kind of part very easy to play is to make all of the jumps feel as intuitive as possible. So if you're using a robot, only do like max jumps. If you're using like a ship, then try to stay stabilized instead of trying to like wave around too much. If you're using a ball, then give the player a lot of room to like, you know, make errors and stuff like that. It's a little bit the part is slightly unforgiving. No, I don't think you need to nerf it. I think it's okay for what it is. It is just a little bit of a learny spike difficult, not spike, but it's a learny difficulty jump at the end of the level, which I don't think a lot of people like. And I think it's mostly for 2 things, and I think it's this robot jump. You can not see that this robot jump, you have to do a small jump, because if you do a big jump, you'll over jump and you'll hit these spikes, and you have to jump immediately in order to like get here. So it's one of those things that it's like, it's mostly that robot jump, because I think everything else is a little bit nicer. I think the other thing is that since you're low gravity, I think a lot of people aren't used to like this ship in low gravity, and they'll like overshoot that, you know? That's the thing that I've seen a lot of happen a lot of the time. Just overshoot that ship. Same with this one. A lot of people want to click inside of this portal, and that is mostly just the compositional stuff, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Also, this swing, I've seen a lot of people die to like this swing, just clipping into the corner there, because again, with the low gravity, people aren't used to different stuff, so maybe like being a little bit more forgiving, like adding slopes or adding like slope corrections or giving a little bit more room to the player, you know. Just offset the camera up slightly. That could also help a lot, yeah. I agree. You have to manually like remap the offset, but yeah. Yeah, this part is kind of fantastic. I'm not gonna lie to you, chat. This part is really good. It's a very, very cinematic. It's very, very nice. It fits with the progression of the level really well. It's very impressive to see all of those backgrounds just like flashing by it's also very impressive to just see that this is a mega structure, you know. And a lot of these are just default blocks. Again, it's not like a lot of like super custom assets. Like those are just default gears that Destiny is using. It's like super interesting and super nice to see like a lot of default block usage. It's very grand. You're right. And yeah, I like this part a lot. I think it's definitely the part that I have the least to say about, because I think it's just very like very wow factor, very impressive, very good. And looks good. Not much to say. It's a very, very nice, very impressive part. No clue how this doesn't lag that much because it's a rotate trigger, but like, well, it's a rotate camera to be fair, but like, it's a no clue how it doesn't lag having so many objects on screen. Probably not that many objects actually, because it's mostly particle objects. But yeah, most stuff in this part was last minute addition. It turned out super, super good. Like, congratulations, because this is a super neat entry. I think cohesiveness is there. I think it has very good direction. I think it's a very solid level. It has really, really good musical representation. Yeah. Very, very nice. Let's play it one more time. Let's play it one more time for the good old sakes. Oopsies. Yeah, I would recommend everybody to go and play it. It's definitely not a super easy level. I don't think it's like a 4-star. It's definitely closer to like an 8-9 stars, but the overall general vibe of the level is not too hard. But it does ramp up a little bit in intensity towards the end, and it is slightly learning. It does have indicators, and it does have very good guidance to the player. I think the camera work is mostly very good. So yeah, overall good job. Of course, that's to see anytime. I genuinely, well, that's kind of like my thing. I think I yap way too much about levels, and I think it's come to a point where like I think a lot of people don't understand why I feel certain ways about certain levels, because I haven't been explaining myself like as in depth. Like I usually kind of leave it pretty like tame for some of these that I don't really want to talk too much about because I don't care about them very much, and I kind of just leave them as like, oh yeah, this is like good, or this is bad, or this is shit's ass, or I don't like it, or I love it, it's my vibe, or it's not for me. But sometimes I'm like, I actually want to talk about this because I have a lot to say, and if I have like, look, if I have nothing to say, like, no offense to you, you just haven't made something that is compelling to me in one way or another, be it positive or a negative, you know, it just happens. If you haven't made something that to me is something that is meaningful to talk about, then I don't really want to talk about it. No point in more talking about it. But yeah, super good job, Destiny. It is fantastic to see you back. It's so cool, so cool to finally see another level from you. Mostly because, holy shit, it's been a while. Oh. Okay, are the servers down again? Do we have dead servers? Is that what's happening? Or did my internet die? Oh, nothing. Oh. That seems fine. What the heck? Okay. Metropolis incident. That is crazy that this level is... Okay. Sure. I have not played this level in years, and so coming back to it is odd, to say the least. Oh god, I haven't played this in so long. Servers are fine. Yeah, I think it was just lagging for me. Hello, Elendra. Welcome. Anyway, chat. For stream, I think that's about it. I don't have too much to say. I'm kind of just here chilling. I've been working really hard on some stuff behind the scenes. I saw some people asking for a Return to Dust. A Return to Dust will be coming out. When, I have no clue, but we will be working on it. It's one of those levels that right now I can't really focus on for reasons that, you know, I can't discuss too much, but you'll see it very soon. I've been really busy, and so kind of been overworking myself. I know that it doesn't really seem like I'm doing shit, because it's always like that with me. I just sometimes just drop shit without anybody expecting it. And I apologize for that, you know. Still aged fine. I think this has aged pretty well. When I first played Metropolis, I was not a big fan of the modern part. I was a design creator, you know. Foolish me was a design creator and thought that like the modern part actually ruined the level. But like the more that I look about it, like now it's like, no, this modern part is sick. I was just kind of tired at the time of like literally every creator that I like just making modern instead of like making design, and I feel like that's how a lot of people feel nowadays, because it just feels like every creator is like fucking making modern art. Hello. Oh, can you not make that jump anymore? I thought you could make that jump before. I feel like I've made that jump, but maybe I'm thinking of the coin route. No, I know I fall. It's one of those things. I'm pretty sure I've made that jump before. The jump is for the start coin. Okay, I see. I think I've probably just remember making the coin route and being like, oh yeah, you can make that, but I guess not. Crazy how times have changed, chat. Crazy how this level was released like so long ago, and yet it's still so good. We gotta bring back design, chat. We gotta bring back design. Yeah, unless you activate the crate. Okay, maybe I'm just remembering getting the coin. I feel like I've done it before, but I'm stupid. Maybe I'm just thinking of the coin. It's okay. I'm terrible at design. No, we gotta bring back art design like this. Like, this mixture of design is something that I really liked. It was a really huge inspiration for me back in like 2019, 2018. 2.2 meta is realistic art levels? No, 2.2 meta. Okay, the 2.2 meta for like the first 7 months of the update were realistic art levels. Were the Blee inspired realistic art levels. And I think over time, in the past like 2-3 months, the meta has now become next cap soon. Am I crazy, chat? I feel like there's so many levels releasing that are just fucking trying to be next cap soon. And I might just be noticing it more because it's my level, so like obviously like I'm a bit more biased towards it, but I've noticed so many levels that look like it, I swear. Especially with the Space Gauntlet. I don't want to see NCS style anymore. No, it's crazy how popular levels like Berserker, like WannaCry, like how much they've affected. Like, you know, like Bussin', like all of those levels have affected the community. Like, they have damaged the community. They genuinely have damaged the community with how much they've affected like the Space Gauntlet. I feel. It's crazy. Gotta learn how to design again. Design. Look, if you know how to design, it never leaves. That is one of the things. You can always shit out a block design if you're a design creator. If you were really a design creator, you can always shit out a block design. That will never change. Here again. I don't have the song, but imagine the song. You can always shit out a block design. I've shown this before, chat, but you can always make design if you're a design creator. That never leaves you. If that does leave you, then you are not a design creator. WannaCry is really unique, but levels become too flashy for my eyes. No, the same. That's why I don't like Kira's Raiders level, but I'll talk about it more once we get to the first impressions of it. But yeah, like... Ah, so fucking cool. I love design. I really want to make more design, but it's just tiring, I guess. Make design, because there's so much copy-pasting. And I love copy-pasting. Anyway, chat. I'm gonna leave it here for today. Because I want to go and rest. I have a bit of a tummy ache. I've been having a little bit of a tummy ache lately. So let's just end stream here. I'm gonna go and rest. And by that I mean go and work on other projects. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you for the stream, of course, anytime, chat. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, everybody. You should go and join the Discord server. Discord server's in the description. Go and join the Penthouse. It is an amazing place to join. You have a great vibes. You have amazing time there together. We're surprisingly very active, and so if you want to hang around, please do. I really appreciate it. But yeah, for those who are on Twitch, thanks. I appreciate the follows. I appreciate all the subs as per usual. I always appreciate the subs, of course. And thank you all so much for being around and watching. And I'll see y'all very, very soon. Probably tomorrow. I have a lot of really big, exciting news coming up. So if you want to keep up, I would really, really recommend sticking around on the channel. Because we have some really big things coming in the next couple months. I have been working really hard for a lot of these things. And so hopefully y'all will enjoy it. I'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye, Chad.